Hey everybody, this is Brad from the website Tecmo versus RBI Baseball. Today we're taking a look at a particular matchup in Tecmo Bowl. So we'll be breaking down all the strategies and schemes which we employ on defense. From there we'll be taking a look at what the offense will do to counter our game plan, and then we'll look at deviations which we make which counter what the offense counters. A lot going on in the game that we've uncovered over the years, and it's really a cerebral battle every time myself and my friends play. So let's get into the video. Okay, for today's strategy segment, we're really going to get into the nuts and bolts of the original Tecmo Bowl, but also the chess match inside the game. When you have two guys that both know all the nuances, all the strategy and schemes. So today we're going to take a look at Denver's offense. And how we slow it down. So the base defense for Denver in this situation is a call run 2. Now for illustrative purposes, I'm using the Seahawks defense. Fred Young, super fast top middle linebacker in a 3-4. The actual video I'm going to show you is of Miami's defense, but their guy is in the same position as John Offerdahl, similar speed, so everything translates. So what happens and why we call run 2 a lot. In run 2, obviously when you call run 2 when the offense calls it, that play is stopped. The defense all charges in. But there's a thing called linebacker protect, which we uncovered, and it basically, the principle of it is it short circuits the blocking scheme. So when you call run 2 and the Broncos go to run 1, for whatever reason this thing happens, the top middle linebacker on defense comes in unblocked. Normally if you're a defender from the middle of the field and they run either way and you haven't called it, you're blocked. But in this situation, a speedy defender can come in, basically stuff the run, so one run call stops both runs dead in their tracks. So let's get to the video of that. Okay, 1st and 10 here. I'm going to let him cycle through. So, Offerdahl run 2. On my speedy defender from the middle of the field, offense goes to that run 2, charges in, he gets run out of bounds. Okay, here's the linebacker protect in as it occurs. As you can see, Offerdahl, he's going to come in and make the tackle. So linebacker protect in action. I'm going to rewind that here quick like as they force a punt. And this was, I believe it was like 3rd and 1. And even lost a yard. Okay, so as we just illustrated, if you have a fast top middle linebacker, call run 2, you just stonewall their whole run game. So obviously Denver's going to have to go to the passing game. So their best, or I guess whatever, their form of countering that is pass 1. So the good thing with pass 2 is there's also a thing called computer controlled coverage. And so it works, if the defense calls a run play, it works diagonally. So run 2 gives you coverage on pass 1. So what we're about to show you here is Denver's going to go to pass 1. Because I'm in a run 2 defense, this receiver here will be covered by the computer. So Offerdahl will just have to operate in an area here, and these two receivers are in somewhat close proximity. So instead of having to cover the whole length, width of the field, I only have to operate here. So let's just show you how this pass coverage works and how run 2 also does some damage on pass 1. At least it hinders the options. Okay, so here's the situation. Got Offerdahl, and pause it right here. I believe that's the top defensive back. So he's in coverage there. Offerdahl's down here. This guy's about to run out here, and this tight end's going to go down the seam and then kind of slant down. So he's kind of rolling out, sizing me up. So I'm on the deep guy initially, and he's going to just complete it first down underneath. So let's just kind of roll back through here. Alright, had a minor glitch there, but so just one more time to illustrate everything. Also keep in mind, if I didn't have this coverage help here, I'm dropping back into the middle of the field. Or if I shade down here, he's throwing up top. So I'm able to really limit the damage in terms of how many yards he can gain. Because like I said here, the line of scrimmage was what, 3rd and 3, and so he's going to end up gaining those 3 and just a couple more. Okay, so in theory, in this scenario, if I have this top fast, the key is he's fast because he can stop that run one play. If I have this guy here, I call run 2. These plays are useless. This play's, maybe getting 7 yards at most, if they have a little more patience. So this one play, this one call that I'm making is pretty much wiping out 2/3 of the playbook. So that means that to counter, Denver's offense has to go to shotgun. So if I'm going to run 2 call, Denver goes to shotgun, the results are pretty good for them. So let's go show you that footage. Alright, so as you recall, I was just talking about how I can really hold the offense to about 5 yards a pop, maybe 7 yards a pop, without really trying to stop individual plays. So what happens is if I'm offered all in that run 2 defense and they go to shotgun, check out what happens here. This guy's uncovered, this guy's uncovered, this guy's open, this guy's open. From run 2 to pass 2, I get no pass coverage help, 0. So watch what happens here. I'm kind of hanging here in the middle, trying to jump something early, and then I'm going to come down. But it's too late. Elway dings me for, looks like about a 12-yard pass. It's 10, 11, 12, maybe even 13. So as you can see, shotgun against this base defense is really advantageous. So if the offense starts hitting shotgun, pass two, over and over, I got to make an adjustment. That adjustment is I either call pass 2, but actually what I like to do is call pass 1. What happens is if I call pass 1, obviously this play is stopped because the defensive line and everybody blitzes in and tackles Elway, sacks him. But it also gives me good coverage help on pass 2. If I'm going to pass 1 defense, this guy is covered, this top receiver gets covered, and so I only have to worry about Dorsett in the slot and Clarence K here. And these guys end up getting in close proximity, and so John Offerdahl can cover those 2 guys. So let's go show you some tape of that. Okay, so as you see here, it's 3rd and 1. Denver's in a shotgun, so I assume Offerdahl is my primary defender, and so Clarence K is here, Dorsett is here. These 2 guys will be open. This guy will be covered. This guy will be covered. So let's roll this here. Okay, pause it right here. Coverage. And what's going to happen is I think I initially try a quick jump, then come off it, but he throws like this the moment I come off it. So yeah. But out of shotgun, sorry here, having some difficulties, but yeah, out of this shotgun formation, which gained him, 12 yards. My buddy Nate got like 12 yards, 13 yards off it. He only gets a couple here. If he lets this play out a little bit, he can probably get a little bit more yardage to Dorsett, but it's a tight window to throw into. So that kind of covers that. combination of calls between the defense and offense there. I don't believe I have any tape on it, but one of the reasons I don't like to call pass 2 very often is because when the offense goes to pass 1, the tight end here gets covered, but it's kind of worthless coverage because then my defender has to cover the whole width of the field. So I'm respecting this guy who goes off screen a little bit, and it just gives the offense kind of the little dump off pass to this guy running the out route. So basically it puts my defender way up here. Elway throws down to this guy. He turns upfield and gets, at minimum 7 yards. So if you call pass 2 and the offense does not call pass 2, you pretty much waste a play call. It's worthless coverage. In certain situations I will go for that, but as a general rule of thumb, I don't really call a lot of pass 2. Okay, so the next point I want to talk about is eventually I do have to call this pass 1, like I illustrated. But what do I do with the defense? Like, who's my primary defender if Denver doesn't come out in shotgun? Because if they're in shotgun, it's a clear giveaway what they called. But if Elway's under center, and then I happen to be this defender and they call either run play and I called pass 1, he's getting blocked. So unless I bust in and then make a risky diving tackle, I'm kind of in a tough situation. So let's show you what we do as a deviation here when I go to pass 1. Okay, so here's one of the deviations. Here's where I go to pass 1. So I get out of that run call. Now this is why I want to get the offense conditioned into knowing I'm calling a lot of this bottom run. Is because if I'm this guy and they run 2 and I call the pass play, I'm busted. Watch what happens here. I get blocked there. And so it's going to take me a moment to shed him. And Dorsett gains about 10 yards there. So let's kind of roll back through this again. Line of scrimmage was a 22 block there. I was lucky to get that diving tackle, saved me from it being another 10 yards or so. So when I deviate, when I switch down to Turner, and I'm in pass 1, this is what I'm wanting to hit you with the play pick. And then once that happens, then I can sneak, I can get back into my standard defense. But this is just kind of, trying to trick the offense, trying to outwit them. Okay, so what's going to happen here, I've called pass 1, and as I've showed, what happens where if they run down to his side of the field. So Turner here, they're going to run to the top, and because your D-end, your outside linebacker, and your safety are backside defenders, none of these 3 guys are blocked when the run play goes to the top. So I slide up. I do get juked, but I hold them to a 4-yard gain. So 4 yards as opposed to 12, you'll take that. The problem with Miami is that Turner, this guy here, and this another guy I might use, they're slow. So even though I'm the correct defender in the right position, I'm taking a bad angle, I still give up another 5 yards. So it's 3rd and 1. I've had the correct defender both times, but because they're slow and Dorsett's pretty good, I've given up 9 yards. So it is kind of a bend. Even sometimes your deviations are bend but don't break. So for the most part, we've covered the base defense, which is run 2, and pass 1. So really, for the most part, you're bouncing between run 2 and pass 1. That's totally your base defense. Offerdahl and Turner. I guess there is one variation you can do. Occasionally when I go to pass 1, I will be the top defensive end. Um, the theory is that even though the Denver's offense knows I'm frequently calling this bottom run, you know, once in a while they're still going to throw it in there to keep me honest, trying to keep me honest. Because if you stop using run 2 on offense, you're pretty much turning, you know, you're going from 4 plays to 3. So I'll get a little video up of what happens when I switch to the top D end. Okay, in this situation, I wanted to call pass, but I had a hunch. So I played a hunch that my opponent, who's Nate, was going to run to the bottom. So I'm in a pass defense, and I didn't want to be Turner. So let's see what happens here. I just came down, made the tackle, gained 4 yards. So kind of like what he did to Turner, he was still able to gain the yardage. Sorry, let me try to get this to rewind. One of the things with Tecmo Bowl is with the hash marks. Had the ball been at the bottom hash mark, and so you have less room between the ball carrier and the sideline, this probably would have gained like 1 or 2 yards, fewer yards. But because it kind of had all this extra real estate, my guy Cross had further distance to come down to make the tackle. So, but anyways, just to illustrate though, you know, here's my deviation. I had a hunch he was going to run down there. I did not want to get busted. So it did work out. And so here was the next play. So we were at the bottom hash mark. And so I rode that hunch again as I went to pass. As I went to the pass 1 call, and so except for Nate, I think he tried to catch me early on a cutback move, because sometimes if you can catch the defensive player early and you kind of cut back across them, there's yards to be had up to the top. So he tried that immediately, but I was on it. He still gained a few yards though, so not bad though. I was the weak side defender, or the backside defender, I mean. So he went to my weak side, and still he gained 7 yards on 2 plays. So, you know, that's kind of the thing with Dorsett, is he's a pretty good back. He's not elite, but what Nate was doing there was really what he had to do. Was he still had to keep pressing the issue with the run. You just can't abandon the run in Tecmo Bowl. It's very key that you keep running the ball, because eventually those are going to pop. Okay, and so here's the situation. Ball is at the top hash mark. It's 3rd and 13. And so, as I kind of talked about with the distance of everything, what I was trying to do here was catch him in a pass play. But because it was at the top hash mark, and there's so many bodies and help here, I figured I was safe to call pass. And even if he ran up here to the top, I would still probably be okay. I could probably still circle around, have a blocker chase me, and eventually somebody was going to get him. So even from the short side of the field, this almost backfired on me though. I got blocked there. At this point I got this guy, and there's a safety here. He's kind of blinking on and off, but you'll see him. So I chucked my defender, but he's got a pretty good sized gap between me and him. So I was really lucky that safety made the diving tackle. Otherwise, yeah, if he misses, I'd give him at least a 60-40 shot at getting the first down. When you give that up on 3rd and 13 in Tecmo, it's just demoralizing. So I kind of got bailed out there. Well, I think that breaks down a lot of the chess match and things that are involved just within this one matchup. I will say that instead of having Offerdahl or Fred Young, if I had the Giants defense, which is Carl Banks up here and Lawrence Taylor down there, I have a totally different way to attack the Broncos offense. If I have the Browns defense, whose primary defender is this top defensive back, it's kind of similar. I'm still going to call out a run 2. but there's going to be a lot of instances where I'm more likely to call run 2 and be this bottom defender. Actually, with Cleveland, if you're up here and you call run 2, there's a thing called bunk bed defense. So you stop the run play to the bottom, and on the run play to the top, it short circuits it for the safety and also frees him up. So tons of different variances from one matchup to the next. But I think overall, I've done a pretty solid job covering the base defense, and then what the offense does to counter it, and then the deviations you have to make, and all those sort of things. The last thing I'll touch on, and I'll probably make a video, it doesn't really apply to Denver too much, but when you're on offense and you're the quarterback, you can actually make pre-snap reads in certain instances. I think I alluded to it a little bit, but say I was this defender. So if I'm the quarterback here, and my buddy Nate or whoever I'm playing is this defender, and I call pass 1, so I call this pass here, I pretty much know that as long as he didn't call pass 1, and he's this defender, that this guy's going to be open immediately. So if it was like a 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2, like as soon as I get the snap, I would be hitting the B button to immediately fire a pass up here, because I know if he didn't pick my play, this guy's open, and so I'm getting the first down. So there is a little bit of pre-snap read to the game, which I'll touch on in some other videos. And the other cool thing with some other teams with the pre-snap read is if you can kind of keep a running tally in your head as to what the coverages are you're seeing from time to time, it really paints a picture of what the defense is calling to. So like you know, when the defense in this situation calls run 2 and this guy's covered, you know, like you can kind of formulate that and put that together, like, they're in a heavy run 2 defense. So but again, it doesn't really translate to Denver too much. It's more for like a team like Miami, for sure. There's some things that you see with Cleveland too, and so anyways, we'll get into that some other time. So well, that's pretty much the gist of it. So thanks for taking 20 some minutes out of your time to watch this video. So we'll see you later on a different one.